Hey guys, I am Madden Gaming and I am back with another reaction video. In today's video, I will be reacting to EA announces more Madden 24 gameplay and franchise changes. Ooh, okay, so we getting some franchise updates and even more. Oh my good, I'm telling you, this year is going to be different. It's just something I just have a feeling that this time is going to be different. I mean, EA confirming some stuff. Oh, I did see on their Instagram they showed like a little bit like behind the scenes. One of the guys that works on the game, he kind of talked a little bit about how they fixed the structure is different from last year's, which they kind of touch on in the trailer also, which they had dropped a couple last month if I'm not mistaken. So we shall see what is going to be happening in this one. But before I hop into this reaction, I need you guys to like this video, subscribe to your boy if you want more reactions just like this one. And without further ado, jump right into it.
EA Sports just released some more news around gameplay, franchise mode, superstar mode, and more for Madden 24. Now, as many of you know, over the past month, the beta was out during two separate periods, and now today EA has released all of the changes they've made due to beta feedback, and there's actually some really good ones in here and some really interesting ones as well. On their website, it says, today's Gridiron notes are straight from our developers discussing key topics from the beta form that are being worked on by the team. Our team continues working hard on the game as we approach worldwide launch on August 18th. Right off the bat, the top issue they mentioned is the input latency. This was the biggest issue if you were playing online games versus somebody in the beta, trying to do adjustments, trying to audible, even just trying to hike the ball sometimes. It was really bad at certain times, and they said here, this issue was particularly noticeable by players who tend to make rapid pre-snap adjustments. Fixing this has been our top priority, even going as far as reopening the closed beta environment to get additional testing on the fix. Based on player feedback and the internal testing, input latency has been significantly improved. For PC players, this issue was often confused with general lag or hitching. That was a separate issue which we've also addressed, and this was definitely fixed because when they brought the beta back for about a week, the input latency was noticeably way better. So thank God they fixed that, because if they didn't, that would have just ruined online play for this entire game. So thank God they got that under control. Now let's talk about some gameplay changes they've made. Pass blocking improvements. Improve the offensive line's ability to pick up edge heat versus pre-snap adjustments such as pinch D-line and user defending stacking. Now, this is just one of the things I have to see to believe it, because in my opinion, the O-line in Madden in terms of pass blocking, even in its heyday, was never great, and we've seen it be worse some years than others, but I'm never really expecting the pass blocking to be great or even good in Madden. But if it's just passable, that'll do. We'll see if they've actually made improvements here. They said they have, but in the beta, you know, it felt like the offensive pass blocking was still similar to last year, which wasn't very good. Man coverage win chance tuning. They increased the receiver cut move win chances to appropriately balance passing game versus man. They also addressed the man press win chance tuning, which increased the beat press chance and the super win animation chances to better reflect the receiver's ability to beat the press. So what this just says right here to me is that they've made man defense worse. Now, obviously last year, man defense was the predominant defense you saw from online players. It was definitely better than zone. And in the beta, it didn't seem much different. Man defense seemed similar to last year, and zone defense was maybe just the slightest bit better, but nothing crazy or significant to write home about. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen this year on defense, because it sounds like they've dialed man defense back a little bit in terms of allowing receivers to win off the press and win on their cut moves more often, which is fine because good receivers should cook man defense. Like Devontae Adams should be hard to play one-on-one man against. Stephon Diggs should be hard to play one-on-one man against. And last year in the game, it was kind of random at times, but even the best receivers sometimes just couldn't win on certain routes unless they had an ability. So it does sound like they've maybe made man defense not as overpowered, and if zone is about the same or slightly better, I do think we'll see more people using zone this year, but I do still predict that man will be the thing that is favored more. Now, hey, if you're still here at this part of the video and you haven't subscribed yet, you might as well go ahead and subscribe, because you're pretty much already a part of the family if you're still here at this point. If you want to stay up to date on all the latest Madden news and tips, this is where you want to be. I'm trying to reach 1 million subscribers one day, play. I need your guys' help to get there, and I would greatly appreciate it. Continuing on here, pass rush disengage tuning. They addressed issues where pass rushers would disengage off of a block, then re-engage instead of being allowed to pursue the QB escaping the pocket. So we'll see how this affects rollout QBs, because rolling out did seem significantly better in the beta. Match coverage fixes. They addressed issues where deep zone defenders were letting a deep route go free to pick up shallow outbreaking routes. Catch tackle knockout tuning. Decrease trailing defender knockout chances when trailing behind receivers. More receivers will hold on since the ball is not being directly affected when pulling in the catch. This is another really huge fix. We all hate this when the ball just gets knocked out when you get wrapped up or touched from behind by a defender. Obviously last year this was worse than ever with the knockout ability, so I'm curious if they've also kind of tuned that with the knockout abilities as well. But even just in general, receivers should be holding on to the ball more often, so I'm glad to see this fix implemented. Halfback screen coverage fix. They changed the man coverage behavior on halfback screen plays so defenders are no longer psychic. They will not charge into the offensive backfield to cover the screen, and the defensive tackle does not sniff out the play so frequently. This is another good fix because halfback screens should be more viable in the game, and they've definitely made the blocking on them better this year, but if the defense is just going to be psychic every time, then it doesn't matter. So I actually really like this fix. Fixed camera changing, PC only. Addressed an issue where bringing up coach cam during pre-play would change the camera if a user first controlled the game with the keyboard and mouse. AI team field goal attempt logic. The AI team was attempting too many long field goals, so we reduced the frequency so it would only happen in more appropriate last resort situations. And AI clock management and field goal decisions. Offensive teams will be more decisive with their timeout usage in both halves. So anytime you're making the AI better and more logical, always a good thing for the people that like to play versus the computer. Now we're going to talk about franchise mode and superstar mode, but really quickly, here's a word from today's video sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Factor. Now Factor is one of my personal favorite companies. I've been using them long before they've sponsored. Their calorie smart meals are just as delicious as everything else, and they're also dietitian approved, and they that's factor75.com, or click the link and use code RayWeather50 to get 50% off of your first Factor box. Now let's talk about franchise mode after the beta update. They did some trade tuning. They increased the loss in value when trading older players and adjusted the value of players at certain positions and increased the value of CPU team assets. It also says here trades will be something that we will monitor throughout the year, so keep the feedback coming. And honestly, trading in Madden is one of those things that's likely always going to need some type of balancing or tuning. I mean, it's one of them things I think is probably hard to get perfect. There's so many things that goes into a player's value when trading for a player, so as long as it's better than it has been in the past, which judging by the beta and with the new settings where you can adjust how hard or easy it is to trade for people, I think this is probably the best trading we've had at least in some time. XP earned for mini games with weekly strategy. They increased the XP gain for completing mini game drills for focused players during weekly strategy, which is good because it didn't seem like they gave enough, so a lot of people said they would just sim this, but if they're going to actually give more XP, then more people will probably play it. QB injuries during franchise games. They increased the frequency in which QB injuries occur. They also said here that there's an injury slider that you can change to accommodate the amount of injuries you would prefer to see during gameplay in franchise. Here's another big one. They updated the relocation UI and flow. They included new features to increase the accessibility of the UI and relocation options. They've also updated the relocation flow to include a preview of each team's helmet, home uniform, and logo to make the process of choosing your new team easier. In addition, we've received feedback during the beta that it wasn't clear enough that you could scroll from that screen, so we've also added a button hint to make it clear that there are multiple relocation options. This is a good thing because I believe you had to actually go through the whole relocation process to see the uniforms, which isn't ideal. You'd want to see this beforehand, so that's a really good fix. Now let's talk about Superstar mode. It says here that they added a league setting to toggle dynamic game day momentum home field advantage on and off, which is good. They fixed an issue with certain mini games not loading correctly from the side activities menu. I definitely saw that a bunch, so glad that they got that fixed. They removed the practice drills from the side activities and replaced them with mini games only. They did some tuning to increase starting ratings during avatar creation per archetype. They removed the slowdown and lean mechanic from the 40-yard dash combine mini game and replaced replaced it with a dig deep mechanic to accelerate through the finish line. They tuned the 40-yard dash mechanic to be more responsive as well. They fixed an issue sometimes preventing player grading from appearing in league games. They fixed an issue sometimes preventing opening podcast video from appearing. And here's a really big one in my opinion. They updated the pacing of the X Factor reward. In the beta, the X Factor was awarded at level 2 of the progression path. This has been moved back to later in the progression path and will be awarded based on league game wins. This is such a big deal to me because this is something they also did in Face of the Franchise that I hated. They would pretty much give you the X Factor off rip, which is completely the opposite of what an X Factor is in Madden. It's meant to go to the top players in the league. That's something you have to earn. Now, granted, in a superstar or career mode, you obviously want to earn that quicker than a real player would earn it because it's just for the sake of playing a video game. You want to kind of speed up some of that progression of you becoming a top player, but it shouldn't just be given to you right off the bat. You should have to go through something to truly earn it. Otherwise, modes like this fall flat if it feels like everything is just way too easy to obtain. So that's a really good fix. They also made some updates to presentation, and we know this is one of the areas that Madden is lacking the most. It's nice to get anything that they kind of throw us here, but they really need to do a lot more with presentation. But here is what they have changed. It says they added new stadium exterior cameras for the opening shot. They added text wipe to reinforce the game type. They updated animations and art in the studio set environment. They added scenes of cover athlete Josh Allen doing signature pregame handshakes with teammates. Stuff like that's cool. Do that for more players though. It says here for touchdowns that take the lead in the final 2 minutes of the fourth quarter or in overtime, they fixed the broken camera after a defensive touchdown, fixed the incorrect behavior in the head coach shot, and also fixed the replay cameras. Player wipe. The wipe now appears for sacks and touchdowns with minimum highlight score. Post-play sideline shots, more players appear with the helmet off on the sideline. Madden Ultimate Team, they fixed a broken camera in the head-to-head seasons and squads. Online head-to-head, they reduced the number of stadium exterior shots shown between plays. And for Superstar, they removed play art during the step to the line broadcast camera. Crowd audio, they fixed occasional issues where when loading into a game, there would be no crowd or on-field sound effects. They addressed feedback that the crowd was never booing in the game. They increased crowd intensity for positive home team plays. They fixed an issue where no individual crowd member voices were heard during gameplay, and there was a variety of feedback addressed around reaction sizes and overall volume of the crowd. So we'll see how that plays out. It feels like the crowd has never been truly like super alive in Madden. Like they don't get loud enough for big plays. They don't boo enough. This is an area where, you know, I think kind of goes into presentation where they could do a lot better here, and hopefully over the years they do make this better, but they've definitely addressed a few things here. Now next week we're going to get a lot of news for Superstar mode and some more gameplay related stuff soon, so make sure to subscribe so you do not miss out on any of that.
I'm not gonna lie, that was a lot. He went over. I didn't get to play the beta. But it sounds like they fixed a lot of things, especially with the presentation. That's one thing that I always thought Madden could improve on. I felt like they took a little bit of steps, but the crowd reactions, it's never gonna be like a college football reactions and NFL reactions is two different things. But I do wish it was a little bit better. The Super Bowl, Madden, please give us the Super Bowl presentation like they had in Madden 11. Was it I think it was Madden 11, Madden 12. The one with Drew Brees on it, on the cover. That, to me, playing that was one of the greatest feelings ever to win the Super Bowl. You got to meet the president. They even showed the footage of you meeting the president. They had you in the truck. They had the fans in the truck on the field. That right there just made you want to win it. Like when you lost that Super Bowl, it completely broke your heart. And if you won that Super Bowl, you was the happiest guy on the block. You was the happiest guy for like at least a week or two. Like those things right there are the things that's really like, that's what I want to see in my opinion. But it was a lot of good things that they hopefully there are fixed. He did say some superstar mode stuff is going to come out next week, so cannot wait for that. But that's going to do it for me, guys. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this reaction. Love every single one of you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.